The course trains advanced research students on philosophical research, collaboration and action principles, and methodologies needed to address the pressing challenges of the modern world. The course adopts an interdisciplinary, challenge-based learning, action research approach grounded on critical realism and Lassallean principles in understanding a focal issue and phenomenon, and proposing and defending a meaningful and innovative intervention. We are facing so many problems and social issues in the world, even in the Philippines. Poverty, environmental destruction, economic collapse, inequality, food and water shortage, inaccessibility to education and employment, and many more. How do we solve these problems? As Filipinos, as Lasallians, as a community, and as a whole. Though there are already many solutions to these problems such as the UN Sustainable Development Goals, academic research, provisions of policy briefs, scientific discovery, and political reform, how would we deal with multiple complexities and various perspectives into solving a common goal? Let us understand first how social issues arise, and how we, the Lasallian Filipino community, should solve these coming from multiple backgrounds and expertise. Lasallian social development and communicative action focuses on four guiding principles to understand social issues and provide solutions. To raise people's awareness, these people are called masid, or the stakeholders. To study and immerse, not just to be aware, called the NAS or the class identity. Lasallian stakeholders must learn during these signs of times or the suri or nilay. And as a Lasallian Filipino community, we must provide taya or kilos, or action, to support those affected by social issues. To find like-minded communities, individuals, and stakeholders, or pintakasi, or pakikibaka, or our collective action. But as Lasallian individuals, there are numerous ways we can help, based on the same four guiding Lasallian principles. In between these steps of experiencing the social issue, its analysis, and a commitment to action, one must have a feeling or empathy or makiramdam to provide proper solutions with a sense of commitment, as the vision mission of DLSU for its Lasallian leaders focuses on sustainability, dignity, and humanity. One such solution is action research. Action research is not just research for the sake of discovery or understanding, but a research that aims to directly provide answers and interventions to social problems and issues we are facing. Action research involves four elements: constructing, planning action, taking action, and evaluating action. As the Lasallian institution is a research university with varying expertise from sciences, business, engineering, education, the arts and social sciences, and many more, we should have collaborative efforts for a common goal as a whole. Such collaborative efforts from varying expertise is no mystery to the United Nations, as they have already numerous goals called the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goals are a call for action by all countries, poor, rich, and middle income, to promote prosperity while protecting the planet. Sustainable development has been defined as a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Sustainable development calls for concerted efforts towards building an inclusive, sustainable, and resilient future for people and the planet. Goals which solve worldwide problems of different issues, such as poverty, human rights, education, health, energy, environmental protection, industrial and economic issues, food and water shortage, and many more. But how can we expect different expertise and backgrounds to have a collaborative effort for a common goal for action research when they speak different languages? One English philosopher named Roy Bhaskar introduces us to critical realism. What is critical realism first? It is a philosophical approach that defends the critical potential of rational inquiry against positivism, or the knowledge that one can only gain through observation. How does critical realism help for collaborative effort of different disciplines, or as we call, interdisciplinary? Bhaskar talks about the transitive and intransitive domains, of which human knowledge and definition, called epistemic relativism, is subjective and may change over time. However, the observed subject, ontological realism, will not adhere to the changes of human knowledge and understanding and would remain as is. Such different points of view will be critical for interdisciplinary research and understanding, as these would be varying perspectives among them. The aim of Bhaskar's philosophy is to communicate this epistemic relativism that there would be understanding among them, leading to judgmental rationality, as human knowledge is fallible and may be outdated. Furthermore, Bhaskar's philosophy on real, actual, and empirical domains also encourages the perspective of various disciplines, as current social issues or events are not caused by simply one force. The empirical is one which people actually experience, as simply a subset of the actual. The actual is the entire event which happens despite the person or observer not experiencing the event. This is again simply a subset of the real. The real includes other objects, their causative powers to lead or mitigate the actual event. The error of the domain is seen here, because we expect to build ontology based on only one cause rather than the entire real domain. Here we can see that the bubble caused by relying on one expertise does not expose the other causative forces when a one applies interdisciplinary action research. Bhaskar also introduces us to stratification and emergence. This explains that basic causes usually have higher dominance over series of causes. These causes, called strata, can also be negated by higher causes if needed be with proper mastery. This also looks at the emergence when an object isn't just basically a sum of its parts or not defined by its parts, but how it functions as a whole. This also highlights the importance of interdisciplinary research, as stratification and emergence points out that reductionism is to be avoided, where all of its parts have causative functions whether the whole will function. A malfunctioning part can be mitigated by another part or may cause inoperability to the entire system depending on its level or power. We must view that different causes have higher power and should be the focus on giving solutions to it, as it helps mitigate the social issue if narrowed down. So how do we apply Bhaskar's teachings to interdisciplinary action research? Dannermark explained that interdisciplinary research is a synergetic integration that transcends disciplinary boundaries, yielding scientific novelty. For research to be recognized as being interdisciplinary, it is enough for two adjacent disciplines to interact. According to Dannermark, applied interdisciplinary research has 5 phases. A critical realist interdisciplinary research is a challenging task, but nevertheless, it is a fruitful way for researchers to address the complexity of the real world, at both global and local levels. Phase 1 is planning interdisciplinary research. The first task is to decide whether interdisciplinary research is necessary, then identify the relevant levels of reality. The most important concept here is emergence, which refers to the appearance of higher order, new levels of properties and mechanisms from lower order levels. Phase 2 is disciplinary understanding. Each expert is expected to contribute their specialized, in-depth knowledge. In the second phase, the individual researcher must approach the issue in accordance with the fundamental principles of critical realist meta-theory. This suggests that critical realists must have a certain open-mindedness and tolerance for disciplines other than their own. Phase 3 is cross-disciplinary understanding. At a more advanced level of learning, researchers will have insight into the theoretical discussion in other fields. To achieve the degree of learning required to make disciplinary understanding possible, it is necessary to elaborate the process of learning based on Bhaskara's deepening of ontology and meta-reality. That is, it is necessary to understand human beings as reflexive and self-conscious. In this context, Bhaskara highlights two important principles: that any human being can empathize with and come to understand any other human being, and that there is a basic logic of human learning applicable to the practical order, accessed by all human beings irrespective of cultural differentiations. Phase 4 is transfactual theorizing. Interdisciplinary research emphasizes integration and synergy. There is universal agreement that integration of knowledge is the core of interdisciplinary research. Without integration, the research will remain at the multidisciplinary level. In critical realism, there are three tools which can be of help: the necessary laminated system, the model of four-planal social being, and the seven-scale model. Moreover, critical realist interdisciplinary research is non-reductionistic. Phase 5 is interdisciplinary understanding. The last phase in the interdisciplinary research process is the outcome, an integrated knowledge about the object. It should be a true melding of disciplines. One challenge in this final stage is the dissemination of the result, which includes recommendations for policymakers and practitioners. To disseminate the result is crucial and requires careful wording and experiences. Furthermore, to apply Bhaskara's critical realism, Houston emphasized that critical realism can provide a firm philosophical foundation for action research. Action research, along with critical realism, subscribes to the notion that it is not enough to understand the social world. We must also act to change it, to further human well-being. According to Houston, the action research process includes planning, acting, observing, reflecting, replanning, acting, and observing. It is within the observing and reflecting stages of the inquiry that retroduction can be employed to give the inquirers a deep understanding of the causal mechanisms potentially affecting the problems being addressed, and the factors helping and inhibiting the damage. Furthermore, Houston concluded that critical realism offers the scholar or inquirer a lens for understanding human ontology, our being in the world, epistemology, how knowledge is formed and apprehended, and ethics, how we ought to act as moral beings. In addition, critical realism aligns with the concerns of action research because it provides a philosophical tool for identifying causal mechanisms with a particular field of activity. Now that you are aware how social issues arise and can be solved by collaborating with different experts, cultures, and backgrounds, why not give action research a go? You provide long-term solutions to unending and difficult problems, have new lifelong friends from various backgrounds and cultures, learn new things way beyond your bubble of comfort. Are you an engineer solving issues on renewable energy? Why not solve these issues with a political scientist or a business executive? We cannot solve the problems of the world alone. Much as the problems we are facing come from different sources. So why don't we solve the problems from different sources as well? Interdisciplinary action research may be just for you, as it is for us. Besides, it's not only for action research, but also for our everyday lives, since we deal with different people with their own beliefs, understanding, culture, and perspective. If we apply this, our interactions with people will be much more harmonious, and in turn, be able to focus on bigger issues we can address together as a community.